It says live and unstable. Yay, like me.
Yay.
Welcome to the real world.
Yep.
No.
Excellent.
What am I getting?
How?
Yeah, audio's good.
Perfect. Thank you, Alexander. So, welcome to, or good hello and welcome to. Yeah, that'll do. Good hello and welcome to Arc 4, Part 7 of this ongoing one-shot. It's the Cascade Arc and the Cascade setting and the Last of the Summer Elves Arc. Part 7 is the 29th of November 2024. I'm Viktor, the GM, and here are the players.
Am I first?
Yeah.
Hi. I'm Sean, and I'll be playing Falkwin, who is the mystical speaker who keeps a magic ally.
Hi, I'm Kalli. I'll play Ignysera, who's a dragonfolk warrior who bears a halo of fire.
Good evening, my name is Alexander. Tonight I'll be playing Lockheart Dourf, who's an empathic speaker and exactly the sort of person you want interpreting the law.
Hi everyone, I'm Chris. I'm playing Nori Nediam, a half-elven explorer who likes to infiltrate.
Excellent. Look at that. Professionals.
So
That was too good.
Everyone
Then we
celebrate.
spoiled it by talking about it.
That's fine. This game is nothing but talking. We know this. We hit our dice rolls quota last time, so we don't need to do any
We
dice
did.
rolls for like
we did do a lot of dice rolls.
the rest of the arc, as
We've
far as
made
I'm
up,
concerned.
we've made up for it the last couple of episodes. haven't we?
I mean, it must be quite surreal for you coming into the game so new and getting that many dice rolls hit. I mean, this early. That's, so unlike me. But yes. So, what do you remember from last time?
Bees.
Beads.
Hey little bumblebee.
No, we kept fighting for a bit, and managed to get rid of the last couple of ones that were up after KT smashed most of them. KT kind of fell exhausted, and we didn't know what we were going to do, whether we were going to try and heal him up or whether that would work. Give him blood. So I think it was Lockhart tried to give some blood, and what else?
Yeah, Lockhart gave quite a
Got
lot of
some-
blood.
got some bug bits.
Yeah, some
Swish
alchemical
bug bits
reagents
out
for
of them.
Elves and some
Yeah.
pincers.
And then it was being a jar time. There dead people at the camp that we were going to try and rest at. Oh no, there's dead people. Maybe we shouldn't rest. Yeah, never mind. And there was a bee in a jar.
A bee in the jar.
We touched. With 3 dead people and 4 bags, and we're like, okay. We found a journal of a posy.
Yep.
Hexam.
Cozy Hexam.
We found a journal, and they're trying to prolong life with magic. And they had an incantation written, and the bee was like, "Hey, read that." And so Myr'ra did,
Of course she
and
did.
Myr'ra became a bee.
Of course she
And
did.
Posy Hexam popped out. And we had some discussions whether who's going to be a bee and when, and where they were going and things like that. So we've decided that we're going to share bee time, and they want to have at least a sleep. I think they said.
Yeah. So they asked
as a
to
person.
sleep as a person because they've not slept in like 3 weeks.
Be
Or-
a person for a couple of hours a day or something.
Yeah. Like.
At least. So.
And you've already given her like something to drink and some food already, so they were very thankful for that. And then there was some negotiating, potentially aggressive negotiating, depending on how it was going to go. Ali Ben was definitely in no chill mode.
Yeah, Falkwin was following her example in that. A little more tempered, but
oh, definitely way more way more tempered than Ella Ben's. Just leave me alone with her, like attitude. But yes. So, anything? I thought that was a very good recap. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Anything else that was missing, or are we up to date with that? I think that was everything, to be honest.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, I think so.
So, with that in mind, what is the plan? The agreement was made with Posey. You said, why don't you stay as Posey for now and just go have your rest? So I think we all agreed to take our 10-hour rest by the sounds of things. So I'm assuming there was a watch set up. For lack of a better situation, where Noya can at least volunteer to take the first watch. And you can decide who wishes to divvy it up in whatever way. Posey obviously volunteers to go to sleep first. And
I assume for mechanical reasons, I don't need to rest, but because you have to do the action 10 minutes, like should just sleep anyway.
Yeah, so much like your D&D rules as well, like you would still need to rest anyway. Whether or not you need to cash in the rest is a different story, but once you've done your rest, you get all of them refunded basically. So you have all your action, etc. 10 minutes whenever rest's back on the next day. So it's, in a way, it's a bit neater than D&D, but it's worded more clunkily, I think. But yeah, since last year 10-hour rest, you get all of them back. But yeah, people still need to do the sleeping, unless you're a bee, such as Hannah's character.
No, she doesn't need to like sleep or eat or anything. We think she's probably an immortal bee.
Yes.
Probably.
Possibly immortal, but even Posey was like, I don't even know if I was immortal when I was a bee, so I wouldn't risk it.
At least prolonged life. Don't need air, don't need food, don't need whatever.
Yeah, because the incantation you had worked out that it seemed to be editing out things that normal people have to do to live. And apparently somewhere in Lost in Translation, also becoming a bumblebee was like,
It's a very important part.
A stabilizing factor, yeah. But yes, I think the only other thing that maybe have happened in the previous one was we had Lockhart psychically talk to the bee, and that was really the only other kind of main point that stuck out, other than obviously our intrepid reagent gatherers pouring through a lot of bug corpses and carcasses. So yes, anyone doing anything over the rest itself? Anything you just want to do in your downtime while you're waiting for time to tick on? Obviously, KT's timekeeping's a bit out of kilter with everyone else's for obvious nocturnal-based reasons. Does seem to prefer being awake when everyone else is asleep and vice versa, so he is definitely spending a lot of time with his elven maiden friends. God, Dakima is starting to look slightly better after having had some food and a bit of a rest. They don't look great, they still look quite sickly, but they're at least able to walk on their own power now, but they're still being helped by whatever the third one was called, Camberley. So it's definitely a bit cautious for that. Camberley and Maribella seem fine, yeah. But Katie still doesn't look great either. He's acting like his usual self, but anyone that's spent any length of time with him can definitely see he's fronting a lot, masking quite a lot. More than his normal bullshit. Definitely just kind of doing that, oh no, I'm fine, and then maybe taking that extra bit of time to do the regular stepping and whatnot. So people are getting there, it's just slow going. Yeah, realistically, it hasn't been that long since he was many, many bats. So, yeah. As I said, Nori will take first watch. MD that wants to keep her company. I think Maribella probably volunteers to keep her company. And then, obviously, you guys can rest, rinse and repeat. As I said, Posey falls asleep within half an hour. Seems surprisingly comfortable to fall asleep with a bunch of strangers, despite the situation previously about trying to go to sleep with a bunch of strangers that then tried to kill her. So, yeah. Any of you guys doing anything during your downtime?
I suppose going through the other bags just to see if there's anything useful.
Yeah, so, again, travel supplies that you would expect to get through like this similar situation
So just
that you guys...
taking rations and that sort of.
So, as I mentioned before, the rations are 3 weeks old, which means
Oh,
they're,
yeah.
they're probably a week past safe to eat. But if you were starving, they would do. Do you know what I mean?
Keep them as emergency
yeah.
rations, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it might also be good for various things like hunting, if you want to use it to attract animals or something as well, potentially. So, you could potentially keep them for that kind of purpose as well, depending on how you feel, but yeah. And beyond that, just any regular supplies you think might be in someone's backpack for, like, hiking through a cave system. Like, so there's maybe some rope in one of them, some pitons and so on, the standardy stuff that you would expect to see that you probably have already packed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nothing particularly fancy out of all of it though. Kind of implies that these guys didn't pack anything long term, as if it kind of implies they may have premeditated the jumping of this person, like they weren't ever planning on going that far through the cave system with them. So,
because realistically, we aren't that far in.
no.
Like, we're a couple hours of walking,
Yeah, a couple of hours or something.
and then a fight.
These are about
So,
3 hours of, like, no, in fact, maybe 4 hours if you include the after the fight walking as well. So you're probably about 4 hours of cautious walking in. That's about how far in yous are. Which is still far, it's just not that far through a very long series of mountainous caves. And a lot's happened already. But yeah, so yeah, you find, as I said, some random supply stuff between the bags, but it definitely gives the impression that, like, her bag was packed with more stuff than theirs. But obviously her stuff was a lot less useful than theirs. Hers was more about, like, writing supplies and, you know, things you'd expect to see in a wizard's backpack that had clearly underestimated the journey ahead. So you can probably ascertain that these guys planned on jumping her before they even travelled in the first place, because they packed their bags lightly. She has no clue what she's doing. And, yeah.
Can Lockhart, once Posey's gone to sleep, take a copy of the spell?
Yeah. Like
Just write it down, yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely try and see if it's going to have the same impact. Yes.
Not going to say it or anything.
Oh, I know. Yes, I would be shocked if you were going to delve into some magic.
Just, might be something that comes useful at some point, but
Okay.
just kind of squirrel that one away.
So she is hugging it like a teddy bear, but but she is quite clearly asleep. So it's probably quite a deep sleep, given that she hasn't slept in 3 weeks. So you could try some sleight of hand.
But why would I try that? We have some deft fingers of our dragon friend. I think Lockhart might just kind of, look at the book and look at Nori and be like, I can't quite recall the words off the top of my head. It might just be something useful to have, just to make sure. I'm sure if it's not something you're comfortable with, it's not that big of a deal, but if you felt like giving me a hand here...
How
I certainly can. My only problem is I've kind of got rid of all those skills.
quiet
What?
how quiet are you having that conversation with Nori? For example, would people like Falkwin or Ignysera like be able to hear it as well, or is it specifically you've went off to the side with Nori?
I think I might have sort of, leaned over. And, if they were really trying, then yeah, they could probably. But
I don't know if you like them or not.
Yeah, I think it would be mainly for Nori's ear, but
That's fine.
not saying it in code or anything.
I just needed to know if Ben could hear it or not, and it sounds like the answer is no. That's fine.
So you can say that it's a bad idea.
No. I couldn't possibly reveal Ben's hand, but yes. It's always worth checking. But yes, how does Nori feel about that?
I would still try it, but as I say,
I'm not worried about what Chris thinks about it.
yeah. No, I know, but I just don't know what I'd roll against, is what I'm saying. Because the only one I've really kept is lockpicking. I got rid of the pickpocketing one for something else.
What?
Yeah. Now that it comes up.
I am shooketh.
Yes.
You've got essentially an invisible
Well, you wouldn't let
parkouring
me do
assassin.
So I can't. Yeah, you wouldn't let me use it. I can't get through my sky jail, so I can't do it.
Yeah, Lockheart told you to steal a bunch of stuff.
In Arc 1.
This is why in Arc 3 him and Falcon were caught. Ultimately, we know this, trying to steal things. But yes, if Nori's still going to give it a go though, yeah, give me some kind of sleight of hand /
Of course he
pickpocket.
is.
not trained or anything in sneaking or infiltrating.
Oh, I've got
one would
plenty
say.
No, got plenty of stealth skills. That's the easy bit. But there was one specifically that said pickpocketing and other nefarious activities.
This is very much about being deft with the hands, again, like a pickpocketing situation, like a sleight of hand situation. It's not a general stealth thing, unfortunately. It's not about that.
Can someone that's asleep
However,
be enthralled?
however, I will share this one now that I've just remembered it.
100%. Yep.
And that's why I got rid of it.
Yep.
The actual one, because I picked this one instead.
Yeah, it's very good. This
ability provides an asset to any task involving manual dexterity, such as pickpocketing, lockpicking, games involving agility, and so on.
So this exact
Lasts up to 2
situation,
minutes.
it's perfect.
Yes. So I'm rolling against speed then.
So it's a speed task, yep, you're obviously, it'll cost you 2 speed points to use that ability, so that comes under cost. Obviously, you're going to want to decide if you're using effort and stuff as well. Difficulty is unknown because it's against Posey, and the only thing we know is they were once a bee.
Okay, so I'll roll with speed then.
And we'll see how you do, see if you wake up Posey.
This also rolling, so I've got an asset.
Yes.
Difficulty unknown, effort to roll.
Are you like trained in anything like that?
Oh, I've got lockpicking. But
This-
it doesn't
this
kind
is-
of fit this, does
No,
it?
it's not lockpicking.
No,
No.
no. I'm going to use 2 effort.
Nice. So
I do have an asset.
2 effort will be 5 points of speed plus 2 speed. There is 7. What's your speed edge?
2.
2. And you don't wear armor, do you? Other than the necklace?
No, I've got light armor.
Okay, so remember there's
Just-
penalties to your light armor. So anytime you're spending speed effort, there's a penalty cost. remember.
So that's a 1 as well.
So it's per level of effort. So the first level cost you 4 speed. The second will cost you 3 speed. So that's 7 plus the 2 from hand to eye.
What's 2?
Yep. So that's 9 total,
speed.
and then whatever your edge is, take that off of it all. And it should all work out.
Be down to 12.
But we are just about to rest, so hopefully get a bunch of it.
Yeah. And when you wake up, you'll have your action 1 available again. And Nori has the ability to use the first 2 as actions. So, yeah, Nori's very well built. Their redraft was very worth it. Hey! So, I think we can say the minor effect is that you, if you wish, can just slip something in so you can easily just replace it with the book again when you're looking to put it back, so as to save your roll for that. Unless you have any other suggestions for what you'd like your minor effect to be, I'm willing to offer that as the minor effect.
I'm happy with that.
Hand in the water.
Hand in water. Yep. But yes, so yeah, like again, you managed to slip the book out. You managed to like jam in something, whatever that happens to be, so you can swap it back out again. Very slightly more successful than Indiana Jones, and yeah. Hand the book over to Lockheart, or keep it, I guess.
I was asked, so I'll pass over. Because it's magic. I don't really deal with magic apart from amulets. So.
Yeah. Then I think Lockhart will just fairly quickly just try and exactly transcribe the. Because I think it was like a bit of a lengthy sentence, but.
It was a massive fold out. Like, remember the thing folded out and folded out. So like all their kind of research notes were like contributing to the passage. So yeah, Falkwin, what are they up? Like, what's Falkwin up to during this event? As you see Nori go over, take the book out of Posey's sleeping hands and swap it for, I don't know, a wrapped up blanket or something.
Falkwin is probably not going to interfere because he trusts his friends, but at the same time he'll be sort of thinking in his head in a way that they can't hear. Like, this is dumb, isn't it, Alu? They shouldn't be doing that.
Alu Ben just says, is he trying to transcribe the spell?
Hard to tell. So Falkwin, with some amount of discretion, like it is evening, people are asleep, he doesn't want to disturb anyone's rest, he walks up to the group and asks, "What you doing?"
So no dragon shout then, no?
No. That was a Phineas and Ferb reference for anyone young.
It's kind of like, what are you trying to quiet later?
Lockheart!
Or from the mummy, do not read from the book! You must not read from the book!
Halux on the moon!
Sean predicts that Lockhart is about to get a telling off from Alabama, but we'll see how that goes.
Lockhart's just going to reply like, well, it might be prudent just to make sure that should something happen to the book, or that we have a way of potentially bringing Myr'ra back into being independently from any outside help.
Unbeing.
So you are trying to transcribe the spell?
Yes, just a simple something that if we, it's not something in my area, but I'm sure we can bring it to someone of greater learning that could then figure it out.
And at this point I will sort of look in askance in my mind at Caliban, just like, so what'd you think of that?
This is so funny. This just reminds me so much of my Monday game, where they all had like, it was the sci-fi game, like the fantasy sci-fi game, And they all had mind speaking across the galaxy, right? Their characters had that set up, and every soft note is just, you see me roll my eyes. But in your head. All the time it was just the captain not being verbal and just like, rolls my eyes. And you all know that. So yes, Alabin says to you, Falkwin, while I do not wish to be amongst our guests currently, he will not succeed in transcribing the potency of the spell unless he is using the correct materials.
Alu says he can't do it.
Using my best legal pen.
Yeah, no, that's not how spell transcription works, Lockhart, I'm afraid. You do need some amount of magical power and the correct magical materials used during the transcription process to correctly convey the power of the words on the page. Magic is less of a recipe or less of a document or contract and more of a, you know, like okay, this is just me failing to find an analogy there.
I mean, you can just...
The thing Locke was like, it's not like a contract. I'm like, no, that I don't know.
Yeah. Yes, it's not like a contract. The way you write the words change what will happen when you read them.
Lockhart will probably look at me like, it is like a contract though.
But you can write the same word in different ways. I can write the exact...
I'm aware how spelling works.
No,
Wrong spelling.
I can make the very same strokes of the pen, and the result will be different. I can write the same words with different ink, I suppose, but same words with different materials on different paper, but the same brush strokes. The content that you read with your eyeballs is the same.
Alabin cuts you off, by the way, Falkwin, and she says, Falkwin, you're trying to fill a bucket with holes.
Okay. It's different. It doesn't work. So, I'm not saying there's no point in trying. If you like the sound of the words and you want to read it as a lullaby at night, go for it. But it won't do anything.
What if one wasn't to read it and one was to simply spout it?
What does that mean?
To memorize it and say it.
There's a thing. Like if someone non-magical transcribes it without any magic, can someone magical then look at that transcription and retranscribe it with the magic, or is something lost there?
You just could try it.
I heard that and I walked carefully to the edge of the cave. just tell me when you're ready to put the book
starts
back, please.
like piling up people's
over here.
People's backpacks like a sand barrier thing. What's Ignysera doing during watching the lads have a small tete-a-tete?
What is she doing?
Because I assume that you'd maybe have taken the watch at the other... Now, there was two entrances to this place, so now you took the kind of, like, one... You'd obviously maybe have taken the other, but you're obviously close enough to, like, see everybody. So, yeah, what is Ignysera's thoughts on their little shenanigans?
Probably just kind of still be on lookout, but just keeping like an ear open for any specific wording where things are gonna definitely go tits up. Like just discussing like theories and things at the moment. It's not too bad. We'll wait until they say something like we're gonna read it again right now. And
Also, Myr'ra is like perched on like your shoulder or something nearby, like just keeping you company. Yeah.
Just give it a little scrape.
Yeah. Just doing bee things.
And not squashed it. Yeah.
While obviously Noria has Marabella, and is dealing with possibly far more questions than she ever wanted to. Chris, you doing good there? Your camera's a bit... We lost Nori? Nori has hid that far.
I'm back.
I thought you just had hid that far. You're like, absolutely not.
The camera didn't even catch me.
Yeah. Too stealthy. You had your hood up, that's what it was. But yes. So,
no, I did not. I am not rolling anything.
yeah, no, don't worry. So, Lockhart, you can have transcribed, like, if you want to transcribe all of the notes that are on this big fold-out thing, you can take, obviously, a couple of pages of your notebook if you want to, like, write down everything that she's wrote on, like, the specific to that spell's construction page, if you want, which includes the passage itself, or do you want just the passage?
I was really only needing the passage.
Yeah, you can take a note of that.
The thing to say in Lockhart's mind, clearly that's not quite how it works, but from, they read the spell, I wrote it down, you read it again.
Yeah.
What more could there'd be? However many years of wizard school done.
Where's my wizard degree? Yeah.
It will potentially prompt Lockhart just to think, and again, maybe it's not how it works, but how Lockhart thinks works, to like just make an attempt to sort of memorize it.
Okay.
Just like from the book, not from the note.
Yeah, the source rather than a copy.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to give me an intellect roll? We'll see how good you're, like... You can also use your understand, because that's valid on objects, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so I feel like that's the perfect thing to use in this situation as well. This is why you always look men and what you upgrade for your characters, by the way, so I can help suggest what your characters have that will be good in situations.
Being trained in administration really relies on...
Seen how chaotic the wizard's place is? I don't think so.
This is just a memory test, which, being able to know the directory of the...
I don't think I want to open the door to allowing memory on its own being covered under admin skills. I don't deny that admin and memory skills are very useful together. But yes, if you're wanting like an eidetic memory, you're going to have to buy it.
That's not a bad idea.
And that's a purchasable option.
It's a game of make-believe, Sean. Anything's possible. We can even get Nori that car he wants.
No, I just want a pet. So I'm going down the pet route.
You can have a pet bee.
I'm sure somewhere there's a dragon shaped like a Ferrari.
So what's this up? So we got our intellect roll there.
So that's 12 plus 9.
Yeah, 21. Yeah, it's pretty good. So you can assume you've got, the equivalent of that as a recollection. If you were trying to do something with that knowledge of this. But it does almost feel... Maybe it's just the influence of what Falkwin said to you, but it's the... How much of this matters, right? Like, me memorising this, like, you could probably, like, rewrite it from memory, at least in the next week. Beyond that, you might start forgetting bits of it, but at least for the next week you probably could write it all out verbatim. But
and then I'll hand it back to Nori to return. Or I might even actually say to Falkwin while we're like, well, here's anything you want to see from it, or could you return?
I don't like this magic. I don't want this magic. I think Alu Ben hates it even more. I don't hate it, but I don't like it. Alu definitely hates it.
there's like nothing from Alubin on that subject. There's just a noted silence. Alubin definitely has opinions about this wizard.
I'll take the book back then, and I'll slide it back into position if
Yep.
you're both happy with that.
Yep, you again effortlessly swap out the blanket for the book again. Nice.
It's very well done, Nori.
Thank you very much.
Most impressive skill. And I do want to thank you for keeping me safe back there as well.
That's no problem. No problem at all. Have you checked your pockets lately? No, we'll scamper away.
Scamper is the perfect word for Nori, really, isn't it? But yeah, so is them to get anything else on to do during their downtime, or are you happy to skip? Because I can't say I've got anything planned.
I'm going to do my 2 rolls again just to get my stuff back up again.
Please do.
Never mind, I'm just going to do 1.
Fair.
Yeah, I was trying to think what shenanigans do we have? Because obviously Myr'ra can't do her pet.
You also probably don't want Falkwin to do his, because it might wake up people.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it's
Falkwin's a loud boy.
Yeah. It's good though. I like the very polarized speakers we've got. It's good. Not a sentence you hear often, as we enjoy polarized speakers, but yeah, it's just whatever recovery rules you've got left for the day, and then that gets us on to the next day. Not bad. And yeah, sadly Myr'ra can't cast any of her magic. None of her cozy magic while she's a bee.
I was mathematically guaranteed to get back to full from where I was, so I just did my recoveries without rolling last night.
Nice.
Yeah, mine's at full, so I'm just
Yeah.
gonna say I did it.
Yeah, it's okay. So you rotate your watches and get to the next leg of the journey. Obviously Posey wakes up and is like, oh, it was actually just so good to sleep, even if it is on like an uncomfortable floor. Ah, how did everyone else sleep? And just smiles at everyone.
Yes, we're all healthy and wise, I think. A little bit wiser.
You hear Alubin say, oh, she's a morning person.
I dreamed of that tutor that I hated.
And the librarian.
Was the librarian Helligith?
Helligith, yeah.
Oh no. Helligith had nothing on Madame Fig.
Madame Fig, okay.
What did Madame Fig do?
Oh, she was a cruel mistress.
Lucky you.
I'm not intending to make these double entendres.
Madame Fig. Sounds like she runs a brothel.
That's why I said lucky you.
Should it be Madame or Madam? Probably Madam. Madam Fig.
Can be whatever.
I'm gonna write down Madame Fig and then
Yeah.
again no context, so let's see what happens.
2 years later, very important
Do you
plot piece.
recognise her?
She was my languages tutor. She made me just copy out paragraphs from books in 3 languages at once.
How
Over.
did you hold the third quill?
Well,
That was Alvin's job.
as simultaneously translated to 3 different languages, but in series.
That makes more sense. She kind of like nods to herself as if pleased with her deduction. And she goes, were they not available in other languages?
The point was to teach me those other languages.
Did you learn them?
Yes. You can tell Falkwin resents the idea.
She probably should have been your favourite if she's the one that taught you the most then.
If only that's how it worked.
And just smiles and packs up her stuff.
I'm getting a very familiar vibe of how people can be neurodivergent in different ways, but that pull them even further apart from each other, and how such people can just find it really hard to get along, even more so than either of them do with allistic people. That's the vibe I'm getting here between Falkwin and
Posey.
Yeah. Like, nothing against her, just like she is not Falkwin's like
Vibe.
yeah. I kept, like, my mind kept going to type, but that's the wrong connotations. Yeah, different vibe, different
Okay,
wavelength.
the ship starts here, people. The ship starts here.
No.
Often starts reluctantly.
Enemies to lovers.
Enemies to lovers.
Enemies!
Oh,
That's a title, isn't it?
Psychic damage, that's what that is. So is this arc just a competition between me and you, Alexander, for how many terrible one-liners we can cram in? Oh, honestly.
I just picture it as
hey little bee.
Hey, little bee guy.
Falcon with like Aluban on one shoulder and then B on the other shoulder.
Okay, so you all pack up your stuff and you start making the next leg of the journey. So that means we need a navigator to do some navigation.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Don't look at me. Falkwin's little buzzy magic drone thing is long gone.
Did its job though. I found you a bee.
Yep, found us a bee. How you get such a great use of such a rare item?
We also found you somewhere safe to sleep
I'm
for
going
the
to
night.
use one.
That's the more important part.
And what are you saying there? You were using what, sorry, Chris?
Just using one effort.
Come. Not bad, not bad.
Going got more difficult.
Yeah, but it's still like a 9, right? So it's still not bad. So you start trailblazing your way through the cave system again. Again, people have to use light sources, etc. Noya will happily use her light, kind of bubble her, day for night spell, and off yous travel. Posey just asks the most mundane small talk questions, what brings you here? Oh, that's interesting. Just even if you answer her, it doesn't seem like whatever you said mattered, because it's as if the next question was loaded already. And anyone paying attention can tell that she's just incredibly nervous. Incredibly nervous. Again, Myr'ra's buzzing around, keeping pace with the group as well. I love that you technically have the horse and the donkey with you too. Yep. Go for it,
The
Nori.
stallions and the bees.
Nori, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, so Posey has decided. Well, never mind. I'm answering my own question in my head. Posey has decided to travel along with us as long as we're going to take her back to the.
Well, that was the agreement, right? You will travel together to stay
Yeah.
safer, and then effectively deliver her and her materials to the Arcanatrix as a bee.
Penetrix.
Yep. Hopefully somebody can DB-ify her. or would prefer to be a bee. Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's the thing. Don't find it who can fix it. Find someone who just wants to be a bee.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The Arcanatrix is full of weird people, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's got to be someone there that just wants to be a bee.
You find the spell that turns a bee into a person, and then they will want to use the spell that turns a person into a bee.
Better yet, find the spell that turns a bee into a butterfly.
Might get Philip a friend. Yeah. Poor Philip.
Thank you for filling in the name, I forgot.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. So, yes, you start navigating. You get to a point, Nori, so you're not that far ahead of the group necessarily for everyone to keep their light sources on the go. Are you using your night vision to actually navigate through this, or are you using your ring with the torch?
I'm using my night vision.
Your night vision? Well, we need a roll for that.
Yeah, I know we do. Oh, D100. We're all good.
Yeah. Easy peasy. So.
Always take a breath, though.
That's the thing with random rolling, right? It's half the excitement.
Yes.
So yeah, you scout a bit ahead, navigate. You get to a point where there is like a five-way fork in the road.
Sorry, I missed that.
I said it's because obviously Sean's feedback. We get to the point where there's like a 5-way fork in the road. The cave splits off into 5.
Okay. I'm going to do another roll.
And what's this for?
Yeah. I'm going to look for what's the most used route, see if there's any signs of that.
It's like tracks and stuff like that, basically.
Tracking skills.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. I'll use my tracker skill. Difficulty, don't know.
Like that, Nori just becomes a bit of a crime scene investigator to everybody else as these like crouching around, picking up dirt, sniffing it, tasting things, spitting it out. All of the good tropes.
Just try to see if there's anything else to add to this. There's not, so here we go.
Not bad though. Not bad at all. Yeah. So you spend a bit of time. John, were you trying to come in there?
No, sorry. I've got hotkeys on shift that I was using to get Discord in a better place.
Okay.
But shift is also my push to talk.
I see.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's just incredibly loud when my voice comes back on me. So out of the 5 ways, you can tell with some detailed investigation takes you maybe like 25 minutes of looking around this site. 2 of the ways seem to go further down into the mountain, so they seem to descend. It seems to be like hotter air coming from those ones. 2 of the ways seem to be ascending, and 1 seems to be going straight on. The one that goes straight on seems to be where many, many, many tracks go, none of which seem humanoid. But if there had been humanoid tracks, they're long since gone in the almost stampede-esque array. So it's probably safe to say this is where a lot of those bugs scarpered to. Straight on. With your looking around, there are very, very light, like as if long ago tracks that both go down and up. So it does seem like if people have travelled here, they have at some point went up and down. But straight on doesn't seem to be any tracks that you can discern as people-shaped. Many, 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 many bug-shaped tracks.
I will go back to the group, especially to KT, because obviously I'm hoping he's got more knowledge of this area, and I'll translate that to them. Do we want to stay on this level? Do we want to climb or go down the track that leads further forward? I think that's where all the bugs scampered off to. So whether that's a way out or whether that's just a bigger nest, which way do you think we should go?
Katie smiles at you, just like a very big grin, and you can tell, like, even like Nori, you can tell like there's a bit put on. Do you know what I mean? As if it's not someone that smiles when they're in pain and they go, "No, I'll be fine," you know. So he gives you that big grin. He goes, "Perhaps Master Nediam could just scamper down the tunnel and have a quick look and see if it's a way out or a bug banquet."
Whether it is a way out or the nest of these creatures, I feel that it might be best for us to follow them anyway, because either it's a way out and we're happy, or it's their nest, and in that case we're less happy, but we get the opportunity to exterminate them root and stem, because they would, as far as I can tell, be a potential problem for any refugees using this route.
Katie gives you a look, Falkwin. Kind of tells you he doesn't agree. Maybe it's because he's quite beat up still.
Yeah.
But he says, then perhaps you would like to accompany Master Nediam to see if that is the case. I personally favour the route.
No. Sorry, we've tried that before, and between us it doesn't work. If I'm going to scout ahead, I'll scout ahead my own at this occasion.
And then Kitty says,
No offence, my friend, but that's why we're here, isn't it?
It's fine. Yes.
That's what we got last time.
Kitty says, does your group appoint a leader in some fashion, or is it just democracy? And he turns to you, Lockheart, and says, well,
we are much cohort of equals, and I think when it comes to the decisions such as these, we find those with the experience to lead us through, and then we make sure the right decision is made.
So you know which path to take, then? He kind of chuckles to himself a bit.
I mean, Lockheart probably does have an opinion.
Well, share it with the group, why not?
I mean, yeah, I think we do need to sort of remember one problem at a time. If it does look like bugs have been going that way, is it possible that they aren't, that they're in a more recent edition? Maybe perhaps there's been a shift that's allowed the bugs through, and so that going their way isn't going to be linked into anything of the main tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
You would think the bugs would have been mentioned by people before.
Or maybe they're migratory.
It's also possible that the bugs weren't mentioned because they're actually not aggressive. I mean, we shot first, to be fair.
Actually, you can saddle them and get through the caves so fast. Like speeder bikes through caves.
Yeah, we just hit the stables, essentially.
Yeah. What sort of skill check do we need to do that?
What, like an animal knowledge check? Or something akin to that? An entomology check?
I wonder if there's a magic saddle we could make. Maybe from their own skin. That would be quite dark.
It's a little dark, but yeah.
I can see it for Aliban though. Anyway. Digression.
Yes, so Katie then obviously is waiting to see if Lockhart's gonna say anything in reply to his. Well, clearly you must know the right way to pick.
I mean, part is tempted to like just choose one. I think Lockhart will nominate Nori and sort of indicates like Master Nediam is by far the most adept traveller amongst us, and I think, judging by the sort of routes that likely to take, you'll be more than capable of finding the most likely route for us.
Katie turns around grinning at you, Nori.
Yes, I'll be back in a few minutes. Make yourselves comfortable. And protect yourselves, because if these come rushing after me, I will be running quickly.
So you're going to head down the third path, like the middle path, basically? So like if it was numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you're going down the middle. I am down into Bug Alley.
After Nori's gone, like a little bit after, Falkwin just kind of says out loud, yeah, but then again, if these are going to be a problem, we don't need to deal with it right now. As long as we get back alive, we can report it, and then Voros or the dwarves could deal with those. We have a different job. Maybe we shouldn't go after them after all. And you can tell he's just kind of been thinking in his head about this, really paying attention to his surroundings, and then just kind of turns around, oh, where's Nori?
While you're having this thought out loud, Katie also just like reached into his jacket and unfurls a kind of scrolled up piece of parchment and goes, or we could just use the instructions we were given by Queen Margot.
Instructions.
After I've gone.
100% after you have gone, yes. Katie is 100% amusing himself.
Instructions. Okay.
Oh my dear Katie, you do like to tease us.
And he kind of just grins and he just like gestures to you with the scroll. He's like, would you like to have a look?
Be my honour.
Do you want us to fetch Nori, or shall we see what his rather sharp eyes can discern from the third path?
I think it would be a perfectly worthwhile use of his time to see what might or might not be down there.
Lockhart is prioritising his good rapport with Katie here.
Have you met Katie? I mean, but Lockhart will have
all armored up.
So, can Nori give me their I guess...
Navigation or tracker?
Well, I'll give you an option of navigating, tracking, stealth. What do you want?
Or all three?
I mean, or all three, yeah. You could just do it in order if you wanted.
Okay, first of all, tracking.
You don't need to do navigating and tracking, you can pick one or the other for that, but it's probably tracking is a better one for this scenario.
Okay, I'll cancel that one. Okay, I'll go tracking. Difficulty unknown. I am taking 2 effort this time.
No worries.
Asset. Lost unknown.
Nice. Plus 9. That's plus 9. So that's pretty good. Do you want to give me your stealth roll?
My stealth roll.
Are you using your cloak with its hood up?
Yes, I am using my cloak. So I'll do a roll for that again.
How long does your cloak last each time?
10 minutes for every level. So
yes,
4 minutes.
it'll need to be used again, yeah.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
Perfect.
All the stealth.
And you want more stealth?
You want more stealth.
Yeah, so I might.
Because I can give you all the info from the tracking roll, but it does mean that things might get info for their rolls.
No, we'll wait until this is rolled. Just goes from there. Another 2 effort.
I love how I can have sessions in my games that describe intercontinental wars with no rolls, and yet you go through a cave and it's like every 2 seconds it's like 5 rolls please. Okay, so that's another good roll as well. Yeah, so Nori, you head off into the darkness down the path where all the bugs seem to have fled. As you're dealing with that, I will describe you in a moment once you get where you're going. Lockheart, while we're waiting on Nori getting to the results of those rolls, you wanted to have a look at the parchment, and it's just like summarised reports from the other escorts, like kind of Sherpas if you will, and it does say that, you know, once you get X amount of time into the caves, there will be, you know, essentially 6 branches, one of which you're on, etc. You want to take the first branch on your left, because the first 2 essentially looped out round on each other, but if you go to the second one it takes longer to loop round, and based on the way the like underground vents, like the heat from the Hearth Core Mountains come through, the second route's way more uncomfortable to go through, so the first one is just more efficient, and that loops round and spirals back on itself, and thus effectively makes a straight line eventually. The other 2 lead to a long, like the other 2 that go up the way eventually lead into, one's a dead end, so that's like number 4 is a dead end, and number 5 leads to an old abandoned settlement of the Hearthcore dwarfs, but that's days away.
Side quest. Why was it abandoned? When was it abandoned?
Ravaged by bugs.
To find some ciphers.
Think of all the dwarven ciphers. But yes.
And
so
number 3? Skull and Crossbones by any chance?
number 3 says it's a dead end. It goes to
Emphasis on the dead or the end.
it says it kind of terminates in a kind of a very like underwater kind of like dank cave, makes it sound cool, but essentially like a bit of an underground grotto it kind of terminates in. So yeah, probably quite humid given the heat from the vents that will be coming up the further kind of down you go. So that's kind of the routes that you've got on this little kind of guide. The other things are just accounts from like the escorts saying, you know, here's a couple of good places to camp, etc., like along the way, how they would pace out their journeys. But it seems like they make people march for like a day and a half before people get to rest. Like they really push people to get through these to shorten the trip, because they don't want it to take longer than it needs to be, because the caves aren't particularly safe. It also describes a couple of things that are worth eating if they happen by. A couple of the creatures just that live in the caves. Nothing as big as the horsebugs.
The super friendly horsebugs. Our ever constant friends and companions.
Defend all of the refugees just instinctively. They sense plight in people. No, nothing like that. Nothing mentioned about horsebugs. So it does kind of tend into the maybe they are a new addition. Maybe they've been moved from a normal environment into here. It's hard to say. There are a lot of marked places on the map that suggest if you were worried about people following you, you could ambush people from here, but you likely could be ambushed from here as well. So little kind of like lookout nooks and stuff like that as well, just in the way the caves have formed, because they're not just obviously perfect tunnels. Sadly, it's quite spider web like, I guess, and in many ways I am branching off. So, but the main routes have obviously been artificially enhanced with mining tools and stuff, just to make it seem that bit easier. But because they didn't want to do a big operation here to make it look obvious that there was a massive escape tunnel from Caldera to Voros, then it's still quite a rough trip. So yeah, Katie offers that up and kind of chuckles a bit to himself. And then yeah, Nori, as you wander off, said it's been quite a big. It'll be quite a trip that you wander off because the route goes quite a while. as you head down, you can start to hear that familiar chittering again. As you like work your way down this tunnel, but there's no sign of any of the bugs that you see. The tunnel itself gets narrower, so it's no longer like, maybe like 4 or 5 carts big. It's now much narrower. Like you'd struggle getting a cart through it. And as you get kind of through, it then starts to like open up. The chittering is very loud, but you can see the grotto like unfold with your night vision. Seems to be a lot of kind of like mushrooms and things that are growing around this place. Some kind of mossy type plants as well. There's like a humidity in there, like a very wet humidity in the air, and you can see, it can only be described as like a breathing mass of chitin. From this distance it's kind of hard to make out exactly what it is, but you can get closer if you want.
I don't think so.
But whatever it is, it seems to be submerged half in water.
Yeah, I am going to qualify that there is no way around. It is a case of I would have to go through the middle of that mess.
No, you could go round, but it doesn't look from where you are that there's a way out of this room other than the one you came in. Right.
Perfect.
So this seems like a very, very large barn-sized cave. It seems like there's, a pool of water in the bottom that has this very large chitinous mass. Lots of chittering, as if there's many bugs in this chitinous mass. And yes, as I said, lots of like fungal plants and moss-like plants and stuff scattered around the cave as well. And like the trickling of water coming in from multiple places to fill this pool. And it probably starts, you could imagine this would feed underneath the paths to the water that you've met on the way in.
How stable does this tunnel look that I'm in?
It would take a decent amount to collapse from your quick glance.
I don't have anything like that. It's just curious. I'm just
but like it's worth. Like it looks pretty sturdy. Unfortunately, in this regard, it's not to say it's not collapsible. You do have a lot of firepower as a group, but could you collapse it before you attracted attention? Maybe not.
No, I don't think so. So I'm going to back out very quietly using all the stealth I can manage. And
it's okay. Yeah, no, your stealth roll's good enough. You can like work your way back to the group. Yeah, and then you trip on a rock. No.
Yeah, I'm waiting for something. It's too easy.
I mean, no, if you're being cautious, right? Caution pays off sometimes, right? If you acted cautious and then never got the benefit from it, that would suck. So yeah, no, you're good. But yeah, you just want to start heading back.
I'll make the way back to the group.
Okay, while Nori's working their way back to the group.
They're not there, obviously. They've all gone down tunnel 1. I get that.
There's just a note that says, bye Nori.
Yeah.
So while we're waiting on Nori getting back to the group, like, it takes maybe about an hour or two. Like, what's everyone else up to, if anything?
Might just try and sort of plan the next leg, I guess. Using the notes being, obviously we'll see what Nori's take on the situation is, but if we were to continue the right way, then how far we could expect, and probably just try and get everyone's input on how long they would actually take, just so we know what we're getting into.
You can also tell, like, Katie didn't hold this off to be a dick. There was no real other way to go until this point. So you can tell from the notes that would have been earlier about the path you've taken this far. It doesn't make mention of any cool nooks to rest in there. These people would have pushed on way past this before they would have bothered resting. But it does clearly look like you could only have got to here from the route you entered in. Which, for the most part, makes sense, but you haven't really explored that other entrance from that sleeping nook. So, and he's just happily accepted ignorance is bliss on that front, quite frankly, which was probably smart. All that treasure gone. So,
Real treasure.
With the current information, or lack thereof, the useful part of the discussion about what to do next would probably not take much time at all. So whenever that conversation started looping back on itself, Falkwin just kind of disengaged from it and started talking at Myr'ra.
Nice. Have a chat with a bee.
Yeah.
What about the birds?
I don't know, just shooting the shit.
The Bird and the Bee was such a great session title idea as well. Why did none of us come up with that last time as well? Like, Myr'ra. But yeah, no, you can make small talk with Bee Myr'ra. And then, yeah, I think Alabenne probably chimes in, like, almost as if talking just out loud to herself, really, but clearly in response to some of the small talk you're making with Myr'ra, and saying there is probably merit in some of the work Hexam has done. It's just we need to be careful with people that have these aspirations to break the cycle. I would be incredibly hypocritical if I was to criticize her too harshly, given my current situation.
Falkwin isn't quite sure how to respond to that. On the one hand, he feels that this might be Alabenne broaching a topic of how she became like this. On the other hand, he doesn't want to pry. But back on the first hand, he wonders whether this is her inviting him to pry somehow.
And what is Sean?
This is a good question, I'm not sure. Falkwin just kind of, he's very careful about how he sort of responds to Alabenne. He doesn't want to come across like he's asking anything directly.
Okay.
But just sort of, well, how else would he? I guess. Just like, hypocritical?
Yeah, that kind of raised question mark type.
Actually, as I think about it, I don't think he has the tact to be anything other than direct about this.
It works.
Yeah. Hypocritical? How so?
Well, here we have some wizard reaching far above her station for some more time on this world. She can phrase it however she wishes, but as the sun sets, she clearly does not want to die.
I understand. And Falkwin gives a very sort of heartfelt inner gaze at Alabenne. Just like he does feel like he understands her situation a lot better now.
Yeah, and even in Alabenne's tone, you can almost tell the angry mum has dissipated a bit, like, stupid child playing with magic you don't understand! And it's now become but I was young once. And I definitely have played with magic I didn't understand because, hey, look at me. I live in a bracer. So, So yeah, there's almost that, like, reflection in Alabenne's voice. Beyond that, though, that's more like musings into the ether, right? Obviously, if you want to poke more, you can. But
No, I don't think this is the time for that.
But yes, Nori, you return to the group. Do you tell Katie? Oh yeah, it's totally safe. There's in fact a table waiting for you.
It seems like somebody's laid out what seemed like a coffin in the middle of a big room.
Great for a
Would you like to go see it?
You've never seen Katie near a coffin. How dare, that's slanderous and that's implications of vampirism. We'd never do such things in this game.
It could be a dwarven one.
There's a racist stereotype. Vampires and coffins.
wouldn't be dead. He wouldn't be caught dead in a casket, never mind a coffin. And yes, I'm proud of that. So, Katie does go, well, was there anything of interest on your journey?
Yes, there's a big room of bugs. The tunnel seems to get smaller as you go in, and then suddenly opens up into this big, I suppose dome would be close enough. A seething mass of these creatures in the centre of it. From where I was standing, there didn't seem to be any way to go any further. You could go around the side, but it didn't look like there was another exit, even though water was flowing in from several directions. A big trap, if you ask me.
One best avoided, I would say.
Yes, definitely. Unless of course we wish to trap them in there and reverse the trap and close the cave off. But
Were there any chokeholds?
As I say, the tunnel kind of closes down, but it looks like it's been there for a long time. It doesn't look like it's been recently dug out by these creatures, so I think it'll be quite stable and take a lot of power to close it off.
Shall we then?
Well, we have been provided some additional information for our route, and we'll some extra notes to catch Nori up. With your agreement, we'll continue on the route that was indicated. Further this way, we should be able to make it to.
You sent me in there knowing that there was a safer route?
We now know that we have a safer route because of the valuable intelligence that you have provided us. We are very grateful for your hard work, Nori.
Like, KT comes over and stands with you, Nori, side by side, and puts like his hand around your shoulder and looks at Lockhart like, he's very good, isn't he?
Falkwin just like, the vampire had a strategy guide and didn't mention it.
I mean, you wouldn't refer to him as a vampire, mind you, but yes.
Yes, no, yes.
That's our word.
Yeah.
Yes, Karen. It seems like somebody's playing games.
No, Lockhart was above that sort of thing, surely.
Surely. Shall we?
Yes.
Master Nediam, would you be so kind as to avail us of your services once more?
I will indeed.
Wonderful.
Okay. Here we go again.
Like, as you are walking,
still
like,
safe.
setting off, like, Katie goes to near the back of the convoy, as it were, and like, anyone that's got good enough hearing as he like heads to the back of the convoy, or anyone near the back of the convoy, can hear him like coughing quite badly as well. Like the act is harder to maintain.
He's got a bat in his throat.
He's caught a bug.
Down.
My speed is going down quite drastically, so I'm going to do my navigation with no effort.
You could always take your action recovery. Or your second action recovery.
Yes, do you know what?
If you're actually, I'm not sure. Well, yeah, I mean, if there's anything like that Lockhart can help with navigation, obviously it can't help with stealth, but
Yeah, the planning of a route is definitely something you could help him with. Yeah, like looking over the notes together. Ah, that's a very good roll. 1 off max.
Certainly is.
Oh, we are burning through them.
Full again, so I'm quite happy just to progress on.
Nice. And yeah, if Nori's letting Lockhart help, even if it's slightly begrudgingly, after realising there's more info after you've wandered off, then yeah, You can get an asset from Lockheart as well. And the info itself will count as an asset. Like the map. Like, I say map, it's not a map, it's a list of instructions and notes. But you spend enough time looking over that with your navigation roll and you can have an asset from that and from...
So 2 assets then, or just a single?
No, 2. One from the notes and one from Lockheart helping. Yeah. Not bad. So we're adding, what, 12 to that? So that's 22. Pretty damn good. Yeah. So you mark out a route that seems safe, you mark some rest points, etc. That makes sense, and you kind of plot your route roughly through as best you can. But it's very much a case of when you get to a rock that looks like this, type instructions that you've been given. It's very much a case of try not to miss these obvious signs. A bit like orienteering, not quite a nice route on a map, but definitely more landmark kind of based. And yeah, you head off.
After we get to the first stop, I'll turn to them and say, this would have been so much easier if I had this earlier. And off we go again.
Yeah, there is no response from Katie, who seems to be quite busy in the back. But yes, everybody heads along. Obviously, Posy's just happy to be there as a person. And yeah, you travel for the better part of effectively a couple of days unimpeded. You're almost at the end of day 2, put it that way. You've stopped off at the first rest point that has come up. If you wanted to rest on, after day 1, you'd have to have found somewhere you just accepted was going to be safe, because there wasn't any specific nooks or anything. It would just be because of resting in the open, or if you pushed through, you'd have got to the rest point. Because remember, these guys that planned this route planned it to be almost on a 1.5 day basis for travelling, rather than every day that you get a rest point. So, did we rest on day 1 of this travel, or did we rest on day 2 and everyone pushed through?
I think the characters that we would want to know if they would benefit from anything, we can't necessarily ask. So, sort of...
I was going to say the same thing. It depends on KT's condition. Is it really slowing him down?
Well, KT is still hiding a lot of his fatigue. Anytime you speak to KT, they might look, incredibly tired until you approach them, and then they would light up, right? And be like, "Oh, hello, how can I help? What brings you my way? Come here," like nonsense bullshit. Almost in a way to make you not want to have the conversations with them, right? Like it's textbook deflection on his part. But yeah, Dakima, again, after, another day of walking, is probably still knackered looking. Do you know what I mean? Needs to keep eating and stuff. But they've brought supplies themselves as well. They've got their backpacks and stuff. And they are at least looking after each other.
Yeah, and surely the Amber Lance can help keep her going a bit better.
Yeah, as I said, Noya's mostly keeping people together, right? And mostly, protecting from kind of the central point of the group to have that light bubble around you guys as well. They are primarily in support modes, but nobody seems like they're asking her for help necessarily. There's not Noya can't necessarily just make more blood and put it into Dakima, unfortunately. Otherwise, I imagine Katie would love the Whitehall a lot more than he does, because he kind of dislikes the Whitehall. So, yeah. So, yes. What's the plan? Because you guys are the ones trailblazing it. Unless you just want KT to be in charge.
I think we'll make the decision to... I think we keep going. I think if any of them ask for us to have an earlier rest, then we would. But if we can get to a better point, then I think the quality of the rest will be better.
Yeah. If everyone's happy to push on, even Elven agrees that the idea of, maximising the group's safety is beneficial, considering the potential threats that exist in your immediate surroundings, being a nest of potential murder bugs that have been angered by this group and may or may not have the scent of the group, a potential serial killer, and all of the other creatures listed in the notes that may or may not fight back if hunted. So, yeah, never mind the fact that there's now murder bandits in these caves as well.
Oh, well, there's 3 less of them.
Yes. And also an unknown element in the form of Posey Hexam. This is Aliben's roundup, so very eager to push on, even if it does mean you'll be fatigued. But she encourages you to speak up if you get tired, because she doesn't want you to be at risk. Because the idea of pushing on for the sake of safety to then be caught short puts everybody in a fatigued state to fight. It's not ideal. So, yeah, Aliben's feelings on the matter are, let's get to safety, but let's do it without getting tired, which is kind of a hard ask.
Let's get to safety in a safe way.
Yep, backseat driving at its finest.
I think Lockheart probably would make an effort to try and put Posey at ease. I realise that's probably not something that comes easily to them, but would be trying to find the way in just to get them to relax and trust us.
Yeah, I mean, how are you approaching that?
I think initially it would just be conversation, pleasant conversation, and keep it fairly light. Be, put some maybe interest into their work and sufficient light flattery about it sounds very difficult, far more difficult than the things that Lockheart does. And, just try and butter them up a little bit, and then just maybe tell them, some shared experiences about, doing a little bit of traveling, but just trying to get them to feel like they're a bit in the group now. They're with us.
You're trying to give them training in traveling.
I mean, sure. I considered that as well when you were saying that. Just make it easy for the group.
Lockhart has a lot of abilities on this street that would help this situation, like obviously doing an understanding of how to broach the subject in the first place, and then having some pleasant small talk with them to butter them up, and then hitting them with the, by the way, we've travelled a bit, this is, the ins and outs of it, relax them a bit, and like you say, flat retail wizard's pretty good, so yeah, do you want to give me a couple of rolls for that then? So, some pleasant conversation rolls, I guess. And I'm assuming it is pleasant conversation rather than manipulation. Or is it slightly less soulful?
I mean, depends what stage in the day. I mean, ultimately, the goal is to somewhat manipulate, to try and kind of be in there, like from Lockhart's point of view, that is the ultimate function, is so that they are less inclined to do anything stupid, to do anything to hurt us. Now, I think he would do that by just trying to be like what he thinks a nice person is. So I'm not sure. I think from Lockhart's mechanical perspective, it's fairly similar, because the persuasion deception are in the same bracket.
Yeah, but for my purposes, it's important to know which one you roll for when you rolled the 1.
It's the memory wipe.
So what approach do you want to do? Do you want to do the persuasion approach, or do you want to do the deception approach? That's really the ask here.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it is persuading them to be to kind of let their guard down. Is that deception?
I mean, if Lockhart wants that person to genuinely trust the group for the sake of them being more comfortable, that's persuasion, right? But if Lockhart's doing it for Lockhart's life to be easier, regardless of how they feel, it's deception.
Okay.
So,
Then, yeah, it's deception.
okay. I figured that, but I didn't want to put words in your mouth.
So I guess potentially, like, I'm not necessarily saying has to be using
Nope,
this as an
that's-
ability,
yeah.
but like,
I think that's
in-
fine. It is a case of you're trying to basically get them to kind of adopt a new like a new outlook on the situation, right? You don't need to worry every 2 seconds. You're basically with friends. Strength in numbers, etc., is the thing you're trying to reinforce from the last time you used the impart ideal on her. Right?
and sure, 3 effort.
Pretty good roll. What's the total there?
Difficulty -5. Jesus Christ.
That's because the difficulty is unknown. So it's like 5 levels of effective effort.
But yeah, that's crazy.
So difficulty doesn't exist there. Like the difficulty still has a difficulty, and then it would be
Yeah,
affected.
no, but this beats a difficulty 8, right? That's pretty good.
It's 26 is the roll.
So yeah, difficulty 8. Yeah. But this is Lockhart. This is Lockhart's build. It's
It
aligned.
only cost him 1 point.
No, because I did the
No.
Impart ideal.
impart, so it's a whole 5. It's nearly a quarter of my.
But yes, so you spend the better part of the day of traveling with her, like working this, for the whole day. You can tell as soon as she gets over the initial reservation and the attempt to complete the vapid small talk of wasn't even listening to what your replies were to questions like before. Once you've kind of pierced through that level of defensiveness that she's got, and you start asking about obviously your spell's quite impressive, your research is quite impressive, what you've been working on, blah 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 blah. You start kind of getting in that way. She can't help but talk excitedly about that because she's an academic and it's her thing. It was literally her studies that she's dedicated her life to. And yeah, she kind of the most that you get out of her is the fact that she's like, well, everybody's trying to make a name for themselves by being known for one thing, and I figured that if I just give myself enough time, I could be known for lots of things. So that was her outlook on it, and it's not so much the fame as think how many things she could learn if she didn't have to worry about dying. She doesn't think it's fair that in the grand cycle you don't get to come back, not as you. She thinks that's quite selfish. But,
Of the gods.
yeah. She's like, what if I really like it here? Ultimately, what if I really like it here and then they just get to keep me? That's not fair. She also goes off on a tangent about what she likes at where she ends up. Like, what if the afterlife is in fact awesome? But then, do you know what I mean? She gets lost in the possibilities of conversation for the better part of the day. So you can kind of tell that you've at least distracted her for the day. That she doesn't seem as closed off body language wise and stuff. And the only thing that Falkwin gets is Alu Ben just mocking Lockhart every so often with and now he's talking about this like he gives a fuck. She wouldn't necessarily swear like that, but yeah, that's the sentiment that's conveyed.
Yeah.
So
Falkwin thinks that she's impressed by his dishonesty.
What was Lockhart's thoughts there?
That Aluben can beat a difficulty 8 deception. No.
It's definitely something that Aluben is noting about Lockhart is this is she doesn't even know that she's being played like an instrument ultimately. Like, imagine giving away all of your secrets like that, like, and all of your excitement and all your pressure points, ultimately. Why would you do that? Right. So, Falcon, you've got this director's commentary almost of, just like, why? Why would she do this? Like, just, again, it's less so about Lockhart, really. It's her distaste of Posey is dressed up as distaste of Lockhart, right? And it's not that hard to see through that, considering you can tell that she doesn't really like Posey. But she's just literally arming him with every single button he needs to press so that he can make her dance. Like, what? Why would you do that? Like, don't you do this, Falcon? Make sure you say very little to Lockhart at all times. If anything, compliment him. Distract him with his own reflection if you have to. So yeah, that's the sentiment you get from Aluben there as well. Yeah, for some reason Posey actually really riled her up. And
she's a wasp person, not a bee person.
That's it, yep. I think we all knew Aluben was definitely a wasp person. But yeah. Ignysera, any thoughts to throw into the definitely completely competent group you're with?
Just like, what have I got into with these guys? It's fine.
Damn you, uncle.
Yeah, damn uncle. Not really. I suppose maybe talk to Katie and ask how he's doing. He's still coughing a bit, and
yeah, he's kind of moping.
Doesn't seem to be improving much.
Yeah, so maybe you and Noya like swap places, and like she'll take the lead with Nori a bit, and then you can like fall back with them, and once you like head back and start like chatting with Katie to see how he is, he kind of just says, "Run along, girls, go and mingle," sends the elves to chat with the others, and then he kind of like puts like a hand like on your like wrist, like kind of like that tapping kind of reassurance thing. Goes, "I'll be fine. It's just between yourself and I, warrior to warrior." And he grins with that. His like torn outfit. He says, "You can see that some of it's been sewn up by like clearly one of the elves have got a sewing kit and they've clearly started to patch up some of the outfit, but it's definitely nowhere near its grandeur that it once had." And he says, "I will be back to my strength, no doubt, long before we fall into any further danger, I would like to believe. And if not, I'm sure many of the people here would be very willing to sacrifice themselves nobly for these refugees, these Calderan that we are looking to save."
Oh, I just wonder what you did. Is this something you've done many times before?
What would you consider many?
I suppose I don't know. Well, I suppose the real question is, has it ever left you this drained before?
The handful or less of times that I have done that. These gifts that I have access to are not quite things I tend to rely upon. Words are my friends, and wings have a slightly different effect. So you can tell like he's like swallowing hard and stuff like that. He's definitely not a well person, and even as you can see how he like steps and walks and stuff, he's not quite as confident as he was when you first like seen him as well. He's definitely very particular about where he's placing his feet and stuff. He's also not wearing the best shoes for this environment. Do you know what I mean? He didn't change for the trek. He's very inappropriately dressed for this, but you can tell that the way he's answering, he's trying to reassure you that he isn't a liability. If that's the way things are flavoured, at least, if not overtly worded that way. And then he says, "The last time I used such a flashy for lack of a better term, ability was, or overt.
Yeah.
We'll go with overt. It was more for shock value, fear, to avoid conflict. This was unfortunately not the case here. I sustained many injuries in that other form. And when I coalesced, those individual injuries became my problem.
Death by 1,000 paper cuts.
Unfortunately, yes. But not quite death yet, my dear.
Not quite.
No. And
Hopefully not for a while longer.
and you kind of like, it gives you a kind of a grin, and it's not a grin of pain, it's a grin of regret in that moment. And then clearly dismissed. And he says, the sustenance I gain from blood, as unbecoming as that may be, is something that could recover me quite swiftly. However, I do not wish to rely upon that this early in our journey. While we may only have a couple of days left to travel, I fear that if we are to be in charge of so many lost souls, then perhaps I should be at my best for whatever faces us then.
That's probably a wise decision.
I'm not as young as I look. And he smirks. He says, plus, if I fall behind, you know the drill. Rescue me before anyone else. He does chuckle to himself, and you can see he winces a bit as he's chuckling, because, touches like his lower rib cage and stuff, and says, best the others feel that I am recovering more swiftly than I am, so as to reassure them.
Although it's good to show a brave face, we all need to know where you are actually at. It's if you are a liability, which I don't think you are at the moment.
No, I wouldn't
we
say
need
that.
to know.
And he grins. It's maybe not a physical liability.
I would say and I won't let you fall behind, and I'll just kind of put my arm out.
Yeah, and he'll take your arm and he goes, I knew I liked you. And yeah, there's definitely the relationship meter pops up a notch. Do you know what I mean, between the two of you? You can tell he was remarkably open in that exchange. You can maybe tell he's probably sick of the conversation with the elves that he's been having. He's like, I need a real conversation for a second, please. Touch some grass verbally if need be. But you can also tell he doesn't want to then burn through effectively his power-ups, as it were. He's like, if I need to be that impressive again, we need that in the bag. We can, because Dakima would die if he went near her again. So, do you know what I mean? It's amazing she didn't die in that fight. So yeah, he definitely seems like he isn't great, but he needs to seem like he is. And I don't know if that's as much for himself as it is for other people. And yeah, definitely a bit of regret in there somewhere. Do you know what I mean? As well, mixed in with that. Seems like there's definitely more to the whole story. Yeah. Anyone else up to anything else in this moment? Okay, we can start the next leg of the journey as well. So,
hold on, okay then. Have we reached the campsite yet?
Oh, I'm assuming you have just rested and stuff. Yeah, if nobody's got anything of note they want to do, you have done your travel. You have pushed through that day. You have, I'm assuming you're going to burn through all your remaining rests to top yourselves back up for whatever you have spent, and then attempt to gear up to push through for the next day. Because.
Right. Before we do that then, to go back to the previous conversation, I'm going to, again, I didn't overhear what was just said there, obviously. but knowing the condition, and I'm going to ask KT whether or not he needs any hunting done for him. If he needs anything that would revitalise him, that might be a fine locally.
Yeah. How do you approach that conversation with him?
Carefully.
Of course. I have selected carefully first, and then toggle carefully.
I don't know whether would myself and Ignysera have had a conversation.
It's up to you.
Passed it on. I think that would kind of work.
I mean,
Nori
Nori could always see Ignysera like detach from the conversation with KT at some point, and then it's get yourself a moment to be like, what was that about? Could lean in with that if you wanted.
Yeah. I think I'll ask her. KT seems to be struggling a little bit. Did you say anything during the conversation that you were having? Sorry, I don't want to pry into your conversation, but...
Oh, no, not... he's trying to put on a brave face. I think he needs to pretend he's feeling better until... Fake it till you make it, let's say. He's not terrible, but he could be a lot better. I think he could use some help if there is any to.
I wonder. Obviously, our food stores probably wouldn't be enough to sustain him, so I wonder if he needs something. The other side of living, shall we say?
I mean,
that might help him.
We have the horse and the donkey. We need to keep one maybe for when Myr'ra's not a baby. But there is the horse.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's hunting.
I think there might be something else in the cave that might be a bit easier than that. Yeah, I think I'll go. I think I'll go have a conversation. Just see if he needs anything. I might be able to track something down that might help him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll wander over to KT.
I'll just say, just don't let on that I told on him.
No. Of course not. Of course not.
The scene I've got in my head is just Nori rocking up to Katie. I'm like, so Sarah said you were tired. Do you want food?
Yeah, so she's really shit at the moment.
I'm sorry, I just had the best intrusive thought ever of KT as Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors singing Feed Me.
Lawrence Llewellyn Bowen's version of Feed Me from Little Shop of Horrors. Yeah, peak.
Oh, God.
But yeah, so Nori, how you approach KT beyond carefully?
I think I'm going to do something silly.
Okay.
And I'm not going to be able to do this because I'm terrible at doing voices and things like
That's
that.
All right.
So please, I'm going to use this.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Talk me through the thought, please.
So I'm good. I don't know who, I'm going to impersonate KT, obviously.
Okay.
So I'm going to take 10 minutes and I'm going to go with this combined with that. And I'm going to come up with a little disguise and voice and I'm going to roll against this to see if it works out. It may not, maybe I can.
To what end? What are we trying? Talk me through what's the end goal?
I think it is going to be a brash display of bringing him over some food and saying, oh, this sustenance from this is useless and all that sort of thing. I need some real food, manly food. And just outlandishly...
It's kind of like pantomime-esque, like, break through the barriers.
Yeah. Exactly, just to see if he could come along and say, yes, I could be doing with some real food here. Does horse or pony count, or should I go and hunt something for you?
I mean, that depends if you want to have a...
kind of
So, the horse is Noya's, so that's a negotiation, and the
exactly.
horse is more armoured, I think, than most of you. And then obviously the donkey is up for grabs, I guess, because I mean, Myr'ra's a bee, so...
Also, Chris, I just love the fact that, you know, a good viable alternative probably is Nori. Is like probably the highest on the ranking.
Yeah, this is going to be a disaster. I
Yeah,
can
it's
see a
fun.
1 coming here and him beating me.
Mm-hmm.
Difficulty unknown. I am going to use some... I'm going to use 1 effort.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And it's trained, right? That's fine. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Asset. Did that say asset?
Yes.
Yes, so that gives me an asset.
Yeah, so basically you're adding
So
3 to this roll at the moment, which is not... 9 to this roll at the moment. Because trained, asset, and effort. Yeah, so 14 plus 9. That's not bad. Go on a 23.
3.
Yeah. So
2 off my
how does this come across? Remember,
Up
it's
to you.
so it's 2 for the ability. Remember, and whatever the effort would have cost you on top. So what's your intellect edge?
Oh, so it's 4 then. Yeah. 1.
Cool.
That
Yep.
brings it down to 9 now.
Perfect. So yeah, talk me through how this starts.
So yeah, once I've spoke to Ignysera, I'm going to sit down by the campfire and I'm going to. I don't know whether I'll go as far as makeup and things like that, but I'm going to tidy up what I'm doing. Yeah, okay, a little bit of paler skin than the elves already got. Do I add fangs? No, I'm not going to add fangs. I'm not going to go that far. But I'm going to tidy myself up, a little bit of suited and booted, shall we say, and then I'll just brandishly wander over him and, as I say, go with this food. Just no sustenance in this food. Need something real, man. Something like, would you like me to go and get you anything real? And just kind of see how he reacts to it.
Yeah, and
That.
while he's like fawning over Marabella, probably, that's giving like some kind of like weird hand massage, as he's like just kind of half paying attention to it all, mostly to distract her, almost. And then like obviously as you approach, he then like turns and looks you up and down, and you probably look like some kind of like, what's the word, like tramp noble, because it'll be various assembled things to look like his outfit, right, rather than obviously a copy of his outfit. So it'd obviously be like a mishmash of things to look fancy, you know, like a cravat made of, I don't know, some socks you've folded up and stuff like that. And he just looks you up and down, listens to what you say, and then just bursts out laughing. And he just goes, "I didn't know you were a mummer. If you had said so, we could have had entertainment this entire trip. How wonderful."
I try to keep my little secrets, my friend. As we all do, don't we? We all have our little secrets, so yes.
What would life be without some secrets between friends?
And some fun. You've got to add some fun into these dank and dreary caves, so...
Quite. However,
Yes.
I am sated. And you can tell he's lying. Just, there's no roll needed. Like, he's attempting to be like, this is fine. But you can immediately tell, like, no. Like, he's completely lying. He needs something, whatever it happens to be. Because you haven't seen him eat.
No. And that's, I think that says my tracking skills and sense and things is I have noticed this in the background, so I'm trying to do this, and I'll turn around and I'll go, Nori, where's Nori? Go and get me some food. And then play this up as though Nori's doing.
Marabella like just stops massaging his hand and just starts like clapping, like excitedly, and And yeah, Katie just kind of looks between the two of you and just laughs more, and says, "Yes, quite. Perhaps you should find Master Nediam and get him to get you something to eat."
Just rest here, good sir, and I will be back soon with something a bit
He
more.
waves his
appetizing,
hand
shall we say.
dramatically. Just as you wander off, he just you can just see him laughing to himself. And Maribel is clearly "Oh my god, do you think he'll do other things? Do you think he'll do impressions of me?"
A show every night coming up. So, yeah.
Yep. Here all week.
Yeah, until I roll a 1.
Hey, that could be
Burn
funny.
him, better
We
go
all
for
seen
that.
Madonna get pulled off of stage, do you know what I mean? And nobody batted an eyelid. So, yep. But yeah, so you're going to try and go off and find something for him to eat, or are you going to kill that donkey?
Yeah. No, I think the donkey's Myr'ra's. I'm not going to touch that yet, just in case. But yeah, I'll go and do some more hunting.
Yeah.
To see if I can find anything.
As you head off to hunt that, I guess Posy's probably between Falkwin and Ignysera, and he kind of looks between the two of you and goes, "So is this normal?"
Not even as normal.
Yeah, I used to be a bee. She kind of just says to herself.
You did.
Was it like being a bee?
It was okay at first. Obviously, after the adrenaline rush of being scared for my life, and then obviously the panic of being captured in a glass jar with no obvious way out, and then a diminishing air supply, and then the potential for hunger and thirst to overwhelm me. Besides that, it was okay.
Not too busy then.
She kind of looks at it and goes, "What?" Just doesn't register. And then, and you take psychic damage, obviously. And then she says, "Yeah, I was glad you guys came along. I think the lack of sleep for 3 weeks probably wasn't healthy. I think I'll need to work on that. With how I've worded the spell, because that's not good. I probably seem more crazy than normal."
You might try more incremental development of your spells.
Stop helping her, Falkwin. You hear Malibin.
I know who spoke.
And then obviously Posey goes, "Oh, really?" And pulls her journal out and opens it up, and it's "What do you mean?" And starts flicking through pages, as if eager to take some notes.
Falkwin's just kind of in his mind's
You have
eye.
2 triggers in your face. Do you have to take the left trigger to disobey Alubin and tell her and help her, or do you take the right one and you keep stum?
He's kind of looking weary at Aliben. He's got this confusing and challenging dilemma of not really liking this person, but also he just can't help talk about how he thinks a good way to go about developing interesting spells is.
You could learn a lot from her ability to edit out. Yeah.
Yeah. So his point with this is so he's saying your design of the spell is fascinating, but to jump from presumably nothing to editing out or changing so many aspects of the being at once, why not try and develop this spell incrementally? Change one thing at a time, add new things, see what happens.
Well, I have done that,
My friends.
she says. I have done that. It's just that I didn't need to cast it till now. So now I see all the problems.
Quite.
Would you suggest casting it step by step?
Yes, I suggest testing your spells during development.
Well, it's not finished yet, so this does count, right?
Yes, I suppose.
So I'm
this
one step
part
ahead of you, Falkwin.
Indeed. In his mind's eye, Falkwin just sort of turns around to Alvin and is like, "Yeah, sorry, you were right."
you can hear the sigh from Aliben, and she goes, I understand that you're going to be curious about other magic. I am also incredibly curious about how something this inept has pulled off something this dangerous. However, that almost answers the question in itself. Those trying to stay warm risk burning down the forest.
Poetic.
I'm also just aware that Alubin hasn't said anything bullshitty and wanky in a while, so like need to hit that quote again for the the way the elves talk. So yeah, I'm like Alubin's not saying don't learn cool magic. Alubin's saying this is the worst person ever. Like there are other people who will help better than her. Like even that conversation there, like Alubin's quite happy, like, oh, it's okay. He's seen why she's not worth talking to, because she's like, oh, I have done the thing you're talking about. Clearly, I'm ahead of you. Then, if I just did that without thinking, which is not the case at all. Yeah. There's probably a reason nobody's looking for her.
I can just picture Hannah's sort of sad, sympathetic.
Sad bee noises. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Nori, have you hunted?
Mm-hmm. I have. I'm just about to hit submit.
Okay. Okay, so we're looking at there at 21. I think that is.
Yeah.
Not bad at all. Yeah, you find I don't know, a cave rabbit, something cave related and otherwise, animal related.
That's what I was going to say. Something
Yeah.
that's not dangerous but just can be hunted. It's just yeah. Anything that looks half dangerous I've avoided, and
Yeah.
I've tried to.
The reason these things are hard to spot as well is because their fur ends up matted, so much so that it ends up looking like rocky faces. I don't mean like Sylvester Stallone all over their fur. Do you know what I mean? Just
After
specific.
a boxing match.
Yeah, I just mean like, akin to the elven cloaks that Frodo and Sam have in Lord of the Rings, where they're hiding outside the black gates and they just look like big stones. These kind of bunnies have these kind of matted fur that they almost encourage.
I'm bringing back a brace of cave rabbits. And anybody got any taters?
Here's my question: Are you gonna keep one? Are you keeping them alive to bring back, or are you killing them to bring them back?
Oh, much harder to bring them back alive.
I mean, a 21's fine. You could have caught one alive easy with a 21. Do you know what I mean? It's just whether or not you want to have brought one back alive or not.
I'll bring. How many am I allowed to catch on that 21? Because I'll bring back one alive, one dead.
Yeah, no, I think you could get two. Yeah, that's fine. And then you head back with your one live cave rabbit and one dead cave rabbit. Yeah. Marabella claps as you return. Thinking it's still part of the performance.
Now I've got to come up with a way of. So yes, okay. It'll be a quick question. Alive, dead, rare, or cooked?
And it says, "What does the chef suggest?" He says that, laughing to himself. And he says, "Perhaps we could have that discussion in private, Master Nediam."
Of course.
And then he gestures to go away from the camp with him.
Yes. I will put an arm out as though gentlemanly.
Yeah, and he'll take it, like playing the part, as you get away from the camp. Somewhat secluded. He kind of turns and he says, "It is not an easy task to rely on others, Nori."
Of course not.
You have done very well.
We work as a team. We have all come to rely on each other while we travel. That is the way we work. You cannot be afraid to ask us. If you need assistance, we are here to assist you to get this trip done. We are all part of one team.
He kind of leans down a bit, so he's like staring into your eyes, and he says, "There are a few things in this world I fear, and vulnerability is still one of them."
We have discussed in this journey the fear that I have always been hunted. That fear is with me stronger and stronger each day we travel through these tunnels.
Yes. Why is that again?
Because the one we're hunting is, I believe, killed my parents.
And why was that again?
Part of my history from the little I have gleaned over the years. My mother is an elf, is where you can obviously see my hereditary. And my father was.
He puts his hand up. It's best we don't speak of that.
Which bit?
When you mention your mother being an elf.
Yes.
Yeah, he kind of goes.
Yes. Okay. We'll leave that alone.
Yeah.
Yes. From what we are hearing and from what we are deducing, rightly or wrongly, the deaths, the murders of the people trying to escape, it's either somebody is trying to stop cross contamination, or people that are working towards peace, trying to keep the Five Blades and its history alive. It's as though somebody's trying to pull that down from the inside. It's limited knowledge we have, but as I say, the bridge over Whitewater, that's where my family were from. The arrangement was that a son and a daughter from either side of the bridge got married through the generations.
Yes, I have been to your village before, but it was many, many years ago. Probably before your parents may even have been there. So that is perhaps not as useful as I would have liked it to have been. However, was it both your parents that died by this hand that we hunt?
Just my father.
And what do you know of your father?
Very little.
How curious. This may seem like a very... He looks around at the surroundings and the fact that you are alone. This may feel like an uncomfortable question, but since we are fast friends here, Master Nediam, would you allow me a taste of your blood? It may provide insights that conversation simply can't.
I'm gonna take a step back,
Yep.
and then I'm gonna very carefully
Run away! Parkour!
And then I'll ask him, you told me not to talk about my mother's heritage. Is it anything to do with that, or is this strictly... Can I take you at face value that this can glean some information?
He laughs a little bit to himself, like at the tension of the situation. He goes, "Which face?" And chuckles. And says, "Master Nediam, if I wished you harm, you would cease to be breathing. I do not wish you harm. You have been nothing but an asset in my life. And a source of joy moments ago."
Yes. And I can't really do a long spiel on friendship and trust and then step back from you, I suppose.
Yes, I timed my question quite well.
Yes. You seem to be very skilled. Almost as skilled as...
He flatters himself,
Lockheart.
like he does like a kind of bow. And goes, "Almost, you say? Then I must double my efforts."
Challenge. You almost have to.
Lockhart's neck is snapped in the middle of the night, like, double me.
And how would you like my blood?
Willingly. And he laughs again, like, sorry, I know this is uncomfortable, but a few drops should be enough to get the insight I am looking for. I promise that even if I don't get what I was looking for, I will lay out my thought process so as to explain my methods. I understand they're quite unusual, but blood and myself have this intimate relationship.
Yes, yes. Okay, my lifeblood is in your hand, I suppose.
Hopefully not all of it.
That's what I'm trying to suggest. Let's hope so.
And he says,
Where do you want me?
so yeah, he takes like your hand then in his. Obviously you move the rabbits over. And then yeah, he takes your hand and he just like drags his very sharp nail down it, and then like as obviously he's dragged his nail down it, it's covered his nail in blood. And he says, this hopefully shall be enough, but don't be too quick to bandage yourself up just yet. And then
Indeed.
he does shield his intake of the blood somewhat to be slightly polite. And then kind of like stares off, and you can see like his eyes like going like a full black sclera, and that kind of like black inky kind of eyes fade away again, and his like very very blue eyes come back, and he goes, "Interesting. I'm without access to more of my research materials, I wouldn't be able to make any definitive comments. However, based on the brief investigations I have been able to do in the time that we have been investigating this heart piercer, it would seem the pattern holds out that it has only been Calderan they have killed."
It gets murkier.
Indeed. Your father could have been Calderan. You have no knowledge of this? Unfortunately, the elven nature of your blood somewhat distracts from my ability to discern the nature of the father.
I have no other knowledge, I'm afraid. The detail is just not there for me. I was very young. I was a child.
It does make you quite the interesting product of conception, however. Half Helborn, half Elven.
Yes.
Potentially. Curious.
Yes, indeed.
He kind of like nods to himself and then says, if you would give me a moment, I would suggest the live one might be more potent for what we intend. And he gestures to the live
Shall I
rabbit.
leave you to your meal?
You're welcome to watch if you wish. I'm no stranger to voyeurism. However, it's perhaps not to your appetites.
No, I think I will leave you to this one. And I'll hand him the live rabbit, and I'll lay the dead one down just in case he has a greater appetite.
Yep.
And then turn away and make my way slowly back to the camp.
Yep. And you obviously head back to the camp, and a few moments later, Katie rejoins the camp. His outfit looks immaculate again. He still looks a bit iffy. His outfit looks immaculate, which is odd, to say the least. He doesn't have any bloodstains down his mouth, nothing like that. Yeah, Just seems like he just had a change of clothes for some reason. And then brings back the dead rabbit and says, "Perhaps you wish to prepare this for the meal before those who sleep do."
Yes, I'll prepare some food for everybody else when they get a little stew for when they wake up before we travel on.
Falkwin. Aluben notes that in the absence of obviously Nori and Katie, when Nori comes back, Aluben says, "There is spell work afoot."
I thought that was rather obvious. Well, actually, was Falkwin privy to the conversation between Nori and Katie?
The one just there? No, they went off on their own to have that.
Sorry, if it seems like I'm not quite here, it's because I'm not quite here. Being in the office until 6:30 does that.
Okay, stay in the moment if you can then. So, yeah, she's implying that obviously, Nori goes away with KT, Nori comes back, she says there is spell work afoot. So, she doesn't mean when he obviously takes the blood from Nori.
When Nori comes back. Can you discern its nature?
No, but the fact that I was able to detect that at all is concerning.
It must be rather powerful.
Be vigilant. But yes, so she gives those like ominous warnings. And obviously then Katie strolls back with a fancy new outfit. So, immaculately repaired it seems, and rejoins the group. Seemingly perkier, but clearly just as pale. Yeah. Anything?
I would like for Falkwin to make his own attempt to figure out what's going on. Using this particular skill which he's trained in.
Okay, so
if there's something weird going on, I want to see whether Falkwin can identify what it is and what its nature is.
So with that would be like if you were looking at, like we mentioned with the bugs looking for reagents and stuff like that before. What is it you'd be using that on?
I would like to try and examine Nori in a not very obvious way. Like, I don't want to get right up to him and start sort of sniffing at the nape of his neck. Just want to be sort of like normal distance, try and be a bit stealthy, I guess, about not trying to give away any tales that I'm paying close attention to anything, but just sort of observe Nori's aura or something.
Well, the best question here would be, Nori, did you do anything to bandage up your hand before just heading back to the group, or did you just leave KT to it as quickly as you could?
Oh, I just left him there. I'd come back to the fire and then I'd start bandaging it up here.
Okay, so you probably could just see Nori bandaging up a wound on his hand after heading off with Katie, and Katie doesn't come back for like a minute or two and then eventually will come back probably in the middle of whatever you're about to do. So obviously Nori comes back and with enough time for Aluben to say to you, magic. And then you can be like, that's odd. Looks at Nori, wound on hand, he's currently bandaging after dumping 2 rabbits somewhere with Katie. but your understand and identify isn't like a spell that like naturally affects stuff, if that makes sense. You would need something like the scan spell or something like
Right.
that would give info that way.
That Myr'ra has.
Shake the bee. Come on, bee! You could just ask until I got the wind.
Could do that. Yeah, sorry. I'm very sleepy. Is your hand okay, Nori?
Yes. Myself and the Count tried a little experiment.
Experiment?
Now that's unnerving.
Yes. It seems he has, as we are well aware, more skills than we could probably guess. He says there's a slight possibility that my blood is mixed a little further than I thought, and it's something I must think on.
And how was he able to tell?
He likes the taste of blood.
I see. This hasn't improved Falkwin's opinion of Katie.
I mean, you just witnessed two of your party having fed on blood. Well, I say witnessed. You're now aware of two of your party having fed Katie blood from like their hands.
It was done willingly.
Two.
Sorry?
Two. Oh,
Yeah,
you mean
yeah.
the camera?
Lockhart,
Wait, when did Lockheart feed Kitty?
when you healed yourself with your magic after the bug fight and you recovered KT from the water, he fed him a lot of his blood into his mouth from his hand.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's when this is going to be fun. Oh, just wait till I point this out then. So yes, I willingly give him a couple of drops of my blood, and whatever his power is, he's confirmed my elven heritage, as you can tell. But I thought my father was human, and he's kind of put a little bit of doubt on that. He seems to be able to gather a lot of knowledge from blood, Lockhart. Time for a wind up. Yeah.
I'm sure he can learn all sorts of interesting things. I think it sounds like there's far more for her to glean from yours than anything else might have tasted recently.
Yes. Okay. Honestly, I'm reluctant to share this because it's not something I've ever been aware of. But he suggests that my father may be Calderon, not human, or not totally human. That's very surprising to me. He also suggests that everybody that has been killed has been Calderon.
That is quite the revelation. Then we are probably best to continue at our current pace. I do want you to find out more about this, and it must be. We want to make sure you get the closure and justice that you deserve for all the hardships this heart piercer has brought to you. I do hope we can make sure to bring you some peace on this matter, Nori.
Roll deception. Okay.
That wasn't.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
I do want Nori to find peace. Might be for Lockhart's reasons.
Friendship can be a reason. Yeah.
If all the victims have been Calderon, that might suggest the murderers are motivated or done on the orders of someone high up in the chain of command in Caldera, who might know about these refugees and be wanting to prevent them leaving. And likewise, if your father was Calderan and he was living in a human elven village, that would necessarily imply he had also left Caldera. So, perhaps not by someone in Caldera, but whoever this heart piercer is, they don't like it when demons leave their lands.
I think with that, that's when KT like returns and obviously looks, immaculate and goes, "My ears were simply burning in the dark. I didn't say that all the victims were Calderan." And he just smirks and just inserts himself into the ongoing conversation, and then sits down and just puts his hand back on Marabella, who goes back to just massaging it. And he says, "Simply that the reports I was able to gather in a short space of time seemed to only be Calderan."
Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence after all.
He just nods and says, "Yes, however, patterns do form, and it would be unusual to just ignore such an overt pattern that we can see, unless you're suggesting that this decades in the making killer is trying to mislead specifically us, which would be preposterous."
It's always good to keep an open mind, but at the same time, the pattern at the moment does seem rather clear.
And as you say, we don't have all the pieces. So
Falkwin's getting annoyed at Katie again. It feels like he's being deliberately contrary. Like, as soon as Falkwin says one thing, Casey's like, "Oh yes, but it could be that." Falkwin's like, "Oh, that's a good point. Yes, it could be that."
what he's done is he's taken you off the seat that he wanted to be sitting on in that conversation, and he's just moved you over so he could sit on it and went, "Yes, obviously we don't know all the pieces, so we can't possibly trust this pattern I've just mentioned." I mean, he is a politician. What can you do? But he does say as well, like, "I am much older than I look, and I haven't exactly heard many overt rumours about this killer. The occasional killing of a Calderan is not unusual in the lands, but then there is the occasional killing of anyone, and many go without notation."
And we don't know if the victims in these tunnels were specific or just opportunistic. If their identities were the reason they were targeted, or if simply they strayed further from the rest. And this is all the information that I hope we will be able to start gleaning more of in the coming days.
He leans in on that note and he says, "What I find fascinating, however, is that the 18 or so that were killed on the last few trips feel opportunistic rather than premeditated. If this was someone who had access to the information you suggest," like he's proper conspiratorial now, right? It's like, if this is someone that had this, the board. He's like, "Then surely this person would have known of these people's attempt to flee Caldera, and thus would have been able to follow them into the tunnels. Why pick the tunnels specifically? Is that the opportunistic moment, or is that the premeditation because it's a more isolated place? The chances of being caught from the journey from the pit all the way here, there are too many unknown factors. It feels more opportunistic based on the evidence we have available to ourselves. But if this person has been killing for decades, they have gone undetected for decades. Sadly, we only have Nori's father to go on with that."
And let us hope there is to be no more victims.
Just hope we can bring it to an end.
I'm sure you will, Nori.
And Katie just seems pleased with himself, as he often is. Like, definitely a lot perkier than he's been. Even if he still looks quite sickly, he definitely, his attitude-wise and stuff's totally, switched a bit. So, it does feel like someone that's obviously dealing with a hangover but's just tanked 3 monsters in a row or something like that. Do you know what I mean? They're on the Pro Plus now, so they're caffeinated up. So
Other caffeinated drinks are available.
We have other products that are available. No endorsements here. Terms and conditions apply. So, yeah. Unless anybody's got any other, stuff they want to do, we can skip ourselves ahead. In that regard, then, obviously the rest of the navigation continues as you wish. You can obviously recover as you want. Similar types of vibes. Obviously, we can assume that Myr'ra has volunteered to rotate BJ on and off with Posey, and every time Posey comes back out of being a bee, they act like it was the most dramatic thing possible, and they're gasping for air and stuff like that, even though the bee could easily just breathe. So, yeah, they're making a very big deal of, oh, it's so good being in person form. Need more of that, please.
Falkwin don't give a fuck.
Yeah, neither does Alabin. Yeah, Alabin is definitely encouraging of you to be speaking to Myr'ra as much as possible when she's back, just to capitalise on the fact that if we talk to her, maybe they won't go become a bee as quickly. So, with that, you guys travel for another couple of days through this. So, probably quite a hard week of travelling going through this. People are starting to get tired, cranky, you're sleeping rough, it's horrible. Noya is saying how, this could have been done so much quicker if it had been her and Zerethane. Why was he retasked elsewhere? She starts to get on at Katie a bit more. Katie seems to have perked up a bit more over the last couple of days. Again, still looks a bit sickly, but he always kind of does. But he definitely seems to be more himself than he used to be. Dakima's at least ate a bunch. Colorist came back to her. She still looks, probably quite tired still, like somebody that's got over a long-term illness, but they're at least, functional again. But again, it probably wouldn't be safe to drain her, given what she went through the first time. But at least she doesn't seem like she's going to just, she could probably run away on her own now, if it came down to that. And yeah, his travelling goes fairly well. Does Emily get anything they want to do in that several days of getting to the other side of this cave network? Because it goes pretty smoothly once you've compiled Nori's navigational skills with the notation from the other escorts. But any just gunning for the end, basically?
I think other than just continuing to hunt the occasional rabbit and things like that as we're going along.
Yeah, every time you do that with KT though, if that becomes a routine each evening or each morning, whenever technically that happens, then he will ask if you want to offer him more blood every time. So you've probably got about 3 or 4 days worth of other opportunities to have offered him blood. So out of those 4, let's say, how many times are you going to give him blood? All of them?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think I'm now. I now want answers. I want to know if it's half human, half Calderon, full Calderon. When do I get my special powers and my promises and my deals and my...
Where's my letter to Xavier's Institute for Gifted Children? Yeah. So yeah, he each time he just seems to be there's something here, but again, either with more or with more research available to myself. Perhaps we could study this better in Voros when we return. I'll have some, useful reagents there to assist with my sorceries. And then, yeah, so there's just that kind of on and off. Like, you can tell he's interested. Like, more so than helping you who helped him, right? That seemed like how it came across initially. Very transactional. But now it seems like he's, like, really, like, he's at least letting you show how invested in this, like, serial killer he seems to be, right? Like, this... He seems to give a fuck about the Calderan refugees. He seems to care the fact that the victims seem to be Calderan. Like, the fact that you might be half Calderan is interesting to him. Like, there's... Yeah. He's not masking his interest as much with you anymore. He definitely seems...
Just turned into a giant science experiment for him, haven't I?
I mean, you're a big puzzle, and for someone that's lived that long, having a puzzle's fun. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. He doesn't have much in the way of answers, though, but seems to quite enjoy your chats. And yeah, eventually you get to the end of this route. Unless you had anything you wanted to add to that.
Is it the rabbit that's healing him, or is it my little touches of blood? Yeah.
Do you ever stick around to watch him with the rabbit?
No, never. No, I'm not interested in that. No. No.
Yeah. Do you ever go back to see what became of the rabbit?
No, I don't.
Nope. Yep. Then we're good. Yep, we're good then. Don't worry. I don't feel the need to.
Unless Alabens wants some more skins.
I mean, if you're skinning the rabbit you took to share with everybody else anyway, like, there's no harm in giving Alaben that. Do you know what I mean? Like, should happily take that. During those couple of days as well, unlike the last time of rest before you're about to make the last leg to the mouth of the cave on the Calderan side, Alaben does ask Falkwin to relay something to Nori, saying that it's not quite the correct timing now, but as ways of thanking Nori for their assistance, she would like to improve one of his items, but it seems like an item that may become too useful to take out of commission currently. So she says to you, Falkwin, when the opportunity presents itself and we have some downtime, some time where I can work unimpeded, if Nori will give me his bow, I think I could make some adjustments for him.
Indeed. We'll have to get you your workshop.
The tools that Nori have provided can make at least a start, but yes, the more sophisticated the tools I get access to, the more refinements I can make. I would hate to put my name to I would hate to put my name to shoddy workmanship.
Of course.
And yes, anyone get anything else on their last day of rest they want to do before we roll forward? Nope, all good.
Just do my rolls.
Yep.
Them back up to.
I mean, it's been 4 days, yeah. Like.
Yeah, so everything's back up to normal.
Yep.
I don't want to lay it on too thick, but I am deathly tired right now.
So.
Sorry.
Moving forward, you get to the rendezvous point. There's a lot of noise at this rendezvous point. And you get to the mouth of the cave. The light's probably quite stark in your eyes. Obviously, Katie says, perhaps I will wait back here. I am remaining in the cave. Since it is an ill-timed time of the day for him to be stepping out of caves. And yeah, there's about 80 people here. Much more than was ever recorded to transfer out of Caldera. As I said, it's usually 30 and 50 at the most. But there's about 80 people, give or take, here. There's a lot. There's like a full camp that has been set up here. It's like a small kind of shanty town of camps that probably would be impressive if it's gone unnoticed. Yeah. That also might just be because of the delays in getting the convoy through here, given everything that's been going on, not just with you guys, but just in general, the fact that it should have been scheduled anyway, and then it should have been Ethane, and then obviously it should have been you guys. So lots of changes have happened, and yeah, there's quite a lot more people here than you were expecting. All of which seem quite shocked to obviously see you guys emerge from the cave. To the point where like Calderan kids are doing the very standard thing of like playing and then running as fast as they can away from the, the strange group of people that have emerged from the cave. Because they were probably expecting a bunch of dwarfs to come out. So yes, and that's where we'll end that session. So you have now become the living parents of 80 refugees.
80 disciples, I think.
Think what KT could do with this amount of fuel.
It's that, like, oh, we found, 80 refugees. It was a shame that those 60 refugees ran into some trouble. Yes, all 50 of the refugees really had an interesting time after meeting KTs. Well, the 38 refugees that we had meeting the bugs. But luckily, the one refugee made it to the other end.
This is like that, when they tried to name the giant turtle and get it across the sea, but because it tasted too good, they couldn't get them across it because they kept eating them. And it's like, probably should not eat
and
these
obviously
dishes.
when we get that last guy to the other side, he's had his mind wiped and can't remember the last 2 days, can't he, Lockheart?
He also looks very pale for some reason. Some bite marks on his neck. Some careless whispers. Yep. But yes, so you have finally got to the refugees itself. There's way more than you were expecting. None of which have been murdered yet, from what you can tell, right?
Yep, because they're not there. There's just a big pile of heart pierced on the other side.
But yes, so what are we calling this session?
Well,
It's not bad lore coming up in this session. They're good so far. Spelling and friends and enemies. Any other suggestions? To be or not to be? It wasn't a super bee focused episode. Yeah. We put a lot of bee puns up last time.
So there's layers to it. It's like AB negative blood. See, you see.
Yep. It's very good. Unless there are other suggestions, please start the voting. We've already got one vote for Nori's Vain Endeavours.
it's a good one. I feel like it doesn't need to be Nori's Vain Endeavours. Like, it was Nori's Vain Endeavours, but I feel like Vain Endeavours on its own works as well.
It does indeed.
I'm not gonna propose a new one and then split the vote.
I mean, you've done yourself a disservice here, Chris.
Sorry, I was trying to look something up and I was trying to figure out a word I can't think of. So,
What was the word, do you know?
no, never mind.
Okay.
I can't even think of it now. It's okay. I'm going to go with the bottom one. Vain Endeavours, yeah. No,
Yep.
Vain Endeavours, that works for me.
Sounds good to me. Perfect. So, any update to any goals anyone wants to suggest?
Ooh.
Well,
My father, man. Who's my father?
Yeah.
Look,
Who's your daddy?
Now you say that as a title.
I mean, hi, we're still in this session. We can change it if need be. Who's your daddy? If you want that, he's gonna have that. But I'm happy with what we've got. So.
Yeah, we can save that. That will work in the future. Just keep it.
Aliben wants to upgrade a bow, so Falkwin's job is to enable this to happen. And I'm assuming, given that it's Nori's bow, Nori is going to be invested in that as well.
Yep.
Very much so.
And Nori, or Katie ate part of Nori, who's sort of rich, so eat the rich question mark.
Yes.
Yeah. The rich. Yes, of course.
But it wasn't be eaten by the rich.
Now you see you've got the comma and the question mark there. No, money down.
But yes, it looks like our goals are kind of still in progress from the looks of it. Yeah. But that's fine. And I think we know Aliben's ongoing workshop is churning, which is good. Just need to get her some good materials to work with, and she's on a roll. Obviously, the idea of taking Nori's bow away from him right now is probably a bad time to do that. So, yeah. Remember, Aliben's priority is keeping Falkwin alive. So, even if Sean's struggling currently. So, yeah, I guess wrap up chat time. Sean, you may as well start us off while you're conscious.
Yeah, sorry. I feel like I've been a bit whiny this one. Sorry. Yeah, I am dead on my feet. Not much deeper to offer there. My brain is covered in cotton wool. Vote goes to Nori, if I'm skipping ahead to that. The mummery was...
Yeah, no, that's valid. Ignysera, Kalli?
Yeah, I liked. It was good learning a bit more about Nori again, and it was, good that he kept offering blood just to learn a bit more, see if I can learn a little bit more. So that's to help you, but I also want to know a bit more about what's going on. Nice. And yeah, bits with Katie. Katie's great. I love her. He's so cool.
I'm glad.
He's so cool. It was good. Yeah, sorry, I was feeling a little bit off today as well, so probably have a bit of
No, like, and it was obviously an unusual session for us as a group, generally just doing a quick Friday session. But again, it'll be good if we do manage, like, whenever our next session happens to be scheduled, because it means we've done a lot of the getting to where we need to be. You now have the joy of 80 liabilities, I guess.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. Yeah, how there's lots of them there, so we've got lots of protecting to do.
Naya's going to be over the moon. Yep. But yeah, no, it was good. It was also like nice seeing like Ignysera just interact with some of the characters as well, and also just keeping Myr'ra. Like between Falkwin and obviously Ignysera, keeping the bee entertained.
Yeah, trying to figure out a little bit more about what Ignysera kind of acts and things as well. Yeah, trying to figure it out.
It's good. I think like I'm definitely getting a nice like picture of Ignysera's like non-combat side of her, right? Like definitely seeing a lot more personality come out in the way you're playing her, especially with things like the conversation with Katie we got this week. So no, it's good. It's good. And also the Nori and Ignysera conversation, very good. He said not to say anything, however,
I'm gonna.
Yeah, clearly needs help.
Yeah.
Let that be a lesson for everyone that suffers in silence stubbornly. It's okay to ask for help, folks. But yes, no, good, very, very good.
We're going to need his help more than we can protect his vision of himself being perfect. Yeah.
Exactly, and that's the thing, right? Like him thinking of himself that he needs to be seen as like infallible as well has clearly been a problem he's had for a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything else with you? Thank you.
No, I'll do.
Lockhart.
First of all, hands off my vampire. Like, I see Nori and Ignysera now trying to encroach on the territory. But no, I really did enjoy seeing like there is a lot of the sort of raconteur between Lockhart and Katie, whereas then seeing like a bit more genuine moments from him with Ignysera and Nori. I was slightly concerned we were going to be like, Katie was going to walk back. Where's Nori? Nori? What? But I feel way better now. And I love that. I choose to interpret it that he regained some of his strength, so he instantly like spent it on fixing his clothing. Like that's how I choose to interpret that event. And yeah, finding out more about Nori's parentage, that's very interesting. And just ending up with the no, Katie is your father. It's like I did have some concerns, like, oh god, is Katie the Harpiercer? Like, is he the final boss?
I killed a man in a village many moons ago.
Well, yeah, when he was like, Katie was in the village, and I was like, we have them at the scene of the crime of one of them, and did the attacks on the caravan start before or after he became Count?
I mean, he did say that it was probably long before Nori's parents were ever in that village. He did say that, but
yes, his grasp of time. But that was cool to see, and I also choose to believe that our Posey is now becoming firm friends with Lockhart, and another meat shield. I mean, another ally to have in these dangerous games. So lots of fun, lots more to learn, and yeah, now 80 refugees to babysit. We got this.
Oh, and they all have names. No, they do not. Refugee 9, Refugee 15, Refugee 75. But yes, so Nori.
Sometimes I surprise myself where these ideas come from. The idea of going hunting and then doing it as in a disguise, I've got no idea at all where that just sprung up from. But the minute you asked me how you're going to put that across, I thought to myself, that's the only way of doing it. It's just...
Do you know what that's a moment where Nori tells you how the scene is going. That's what that is. That's Nori telling Chris how the scene's going. And I love those moments, because it's when the characters, you just know what a character would do, and you're like, I don't want to do this, but my character definitely would do it this way. It's good.
That's exactly it then, yeah. It's just taking a little bit of preparation, going over and chatting to him, and
I did think with the rabbits, like, you can take Keldrath out of the game, but you can't take Chris out of Keldrath. He's the chef.
Yeah, okay, yes, indeed. I'm back.
Yep.
Trying to avoid that all the way through this.
You've got your parkour skills, you've got your chef skill. Just need to get you dragoned up a bit.
Yeah.
Yep. You were in dragon sort. Nope, that's too much of a stretch. We're fine.
Nope. Yeah. The revelation about my father stuns me as well. That's not my character sheet, but hey.
Hey, I mean,
we'll figure that one out as we go along.
Yeah. So just conclusions are being drawn.
I've enjoyed this.
No, good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good to get another session in, so that we didn't, as I said, miss one, because I just feel like the immediate future is a hellscape for scheduling, so yes. Anything else, Chris?
Just wait until we try and tell Myr'ra what actually happened. describe this one to her. And what happened last time? Well,
So we now have 80 friends. Also, everything else went fairly smoothly. Because it did. Went pretty smoothly. Yeah. If you want to thin down your responsibility, you know there's a room that could do that for you guys. You know, that third path. If you don't want to deal with 80 people, thin that down a bit.
So if we want to save them, but 80's a lot. It's a lot to do.
And the bugs have a preset kill limit, so we just send wave after wave of refugees.
But yes.
Don't take that out of context.
Whoever's
listening to me.
yeah. This will be edited out of the show.
Think of the things I've said from all the games I've recorded. I could be taken way out of context with some horrible editing job. But yes. Voting then. So we know
culture is a great thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So we know that Sean voted for Nori. You know that?
Yeah.
Yeah, there is no other choice. that was such an amazing
comment then.
I mean, well, I still want to know who you'd have voted for. Yeah. You can still see yourself if you want an easy out.
No, I would never say myself. I would have said Ignysera just for starting the whole ball rolling in that conversation.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't for that, that just would not have happened. So
and that
would have been my choice.
It's a nice thing about a good group of like players is building off each other. It's such a good way of seeing like stories form, because you like, oh, how did we get here? And then you look at every single micro like choice someone's made on the path to get us here. Like you were saying about, oh, I just mentioned wanting more armor, and look at the entire scene we got out of that, and then even having to placate KT so he wouldn't go in the daylight room that yous were in making the item in the first place, because you chose to go to the fancy forge, not the back of a shop. Do you know what I mean? So it's good. I love stuff like that. It helps build the world together. But yeah, that's an extra point of XP for you. I think
Thank you very much.
there's a good chance we're in for some nice XP next week, depending on how well that goes. I'm excited to see that. But yes. But yes, say goodbye everybody. We're done.
Right.
Bye, everyone.